Now, for more on this topic, we're joined by Marc Curtis, CEO of China Wine Tours. So, Marc, first tell us, how are consumer tastes changing in China, especially when it comes to wine?
Well, it's mainly balanced around the younger generation. They want to become more westernized in many ways, and of course, wine happens to be one of the great social activities that people can get involved with and learn about. So many people are taking wine courses. I have a weekly group that meets at a wine shop to practice English and drink wine. So it's a very fast-growing segment here.
Now, Marc, by 2013, China became the biggest consumer of red wine in the world. What is it that makes red wine more appealing?
Well, there's the health benefits for one, and the massive numbers of varieties of wine that people can taste. Uh, it used to be here, it was pretty much all Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, but now you're getting every variety in the world. And with all the importers from every country, uh, the possibilities are endless.
Now, why do you think we're seeing this momentum from China, both in terms of consumption and investment when it comes to the wine industry?
Well, it's a combination, again, of availability and desire, particularly of that younger generation, wanting to be more Western, wanting to try things that the rest of the world already enjoys. So they're they're experimenting, and they're finding out that wine is a wonderful thing to add to their consumption.
Now, as we mentioned, China is also dedicating a lot of land to really grooming its vineyards. So what sort of developments are we seeing to really cultivate the domestic wine industry?
Well, we're seeing massive growth in the Ningxia area, among others. But Ningxia has got a lot of input from the government, and it's got wonderful winemakers who are coming in from around the world to help the Chinese winemakers learn how to make wine really good. The big problem is right now the quantities are kind of low. So you're not going to find these really great wines in any stores or not very many wine shops. So you have to either go to the winery or you can usually buy them online. But the problem too is these are expensive wines right now. Uh, you're going to be looking at $40 to $60 easily for a really fine Chinese wine. If they can get that price down, they'll do much better in the marketplace. Um, but the the the, the importers, like Chile, Italy, they're bringing that price down to making those wines much more available.
Right.
So it's a lot of competition.
Now, Marc, your company, China Wine Tours, basically gives people a way to explore the country using the wine travel experience. So how much
Right.
opportunity for related businesses can China's wine industry provide?
Well, I just went to the Interwine exhibition in Guangzhou the other day, and I got asked by so many producers, Israel, Romania, uh, Georgia. They want to get into this massive market here. But one thing they don't really understand is that while there's 1.4 billion people, really only about 38 million who drink wine, and they're not quite all that sophisticated unless you're in the first tier cities who have the opportunities to really experience great wine and great wine education.
Now, you touched on this issue of availability as a potential challenge. What are some of the other challenges you see in really cultivating the domestic wine market?
Well, again, production. I mean, the weather conditions are a little odd for wine growing. In Ningxia, for instance, um, they have to bury the vines in the winter, or they'll get destroyed by the cold. Um, in the east, in Shandong, uh, the cold is not a problem, but the heat and humidity and rain is a problem. So producing large quantities of really good wine is not an easy task.
Now, which are the other countries that you think outside of China that are really reaping the benefit of this surge that we're seeing among Chinese wine drinkers?
Well, France has always been very strong because they saw the vision about 20 years ago and started bringing their wines into China. So they created quite a following. But Chile is doing wonderful. Their wines are very well priced, and they're excellent. Um, Australia has been importing a lot of wine into China. Um, uh, Italy, also the United States, which is very far behind in getting into this game. They're finally coming up. But again, California wines they're very expensive in California. Well, by the time you ship them to China, get the duty tacked onto it, get the distributors tacked onto it, get the retailers taxed onto it. Now you've got high-priced wine, and it's excellent wine, but it doesn't fit the budgets of most Chinese.
Well, certainly the cost may be a bit tough to swallow. Thank you so much. We'll have to
Yes.
leave it there. Our thanks to Marc Curtis, CEO of China Wine Tours.